Very good morning, dear children. Dear children, today we are going to start the next chapter of history, that is Ashoka the emperor who gave up war. So, children, you might have heard about this name previously as well. Ashoka, he was a very famous emperor. Fine. Now, children, what is the difference between uh, empire and a kingdom? See, if we compare empire with a kingdom, so a very big kingdom is will be equal to an empire. Children, the lions that we see on our notes and coins, have you ever seen the new notes? You might have seen the lion capital symbol on that. So, children, that lion capital which you can see on the notes, that has a very long history. So, what is that? Children, they were carved in stone and placed on the top of a massive stone pillar at Sarnath. So, please underline, where is that stone pillar on which this lion capital is placed? That is at Sarnath, and you have heard about this place before in the previous chapter also, Sarnath. So, children, we are talking about Ashoka. He was one of the greatest rulers known to history. So, he is very, very famous. And on his instruction, inscriptions were carved on pillars as well as on rock surfaces. So, children, whatever he used to say, he used to, whatever orders he used to give to his people, he used to carve them, inscribe them on the walls. Fine. So that is known as inscriptions. So whatever instructions he was giving, he used to carve those instructions on the pillars as well as the rock surfaces. So, children, before we find out what was written in these inscriptions, let us see why kingdom was called an empire. Why his kingdom was called an empire. So, children, empire that Ashoka ruled was founded by his grandfather. So, who started that empire? Who founded that empire? The grandfather of Ashoka. And what was his name? Chandragupta Maurya. So, you might have heard about this name also. So, we are going to talk about the Mauryan dynasty. Fine. And he founded that empire more than 2300 years ago. Now, children, Chandragupta Maurya, he was supported by a very, wise man. You might have heard about Chanakya, and children, his other name was Kautilya. So please underline, it's important. So his other name was Kautilya, and Chanakya, he was a very wise man who used to support Chandragupta Maurya. So children, Chanakya's ideas, they are written down in a book, and the name of the book is Arthashastra. Fine. Now we will talk about dynasty. Now, when members of a same family become rulers one after another, the family is often called a dynasty. So, you might have seen that one king is there, then his son becomes the king, then after that, his son. Like this way, this family becomes the ruler one by one. So, this is called dynasty. The Mauryas were a dynasty. So, Mauryan dynasty I talked about. So, in the Mauryan dynasty, there were three important rulers, children. Please underline who were they. Chandragupta Maurya, who founded the dynasty, and then his son was Bindusara, fine, the father of Ashoka, and then Ashoka, the son of Bindusara. So this way, this dynasty was, Mauryan dynasty was there. Now, children, see. Now you can see the places where inscriptions of Ashoka have been found are marked with red dots. So in this map, you can see the places with the red dots. So you can see in most of the places amongst the subcontinent in India, most of the places they were having the inscriptions which were inscriptions of Ashokas. Now, children, there were many cities in his empire which are all black, which are all marked with black dots on the map. So these were all his cities. Now these cities included the capital. Now what was the capital of Mauryan Empire? Please underline. Patliputra was the capital, and Taxila and Ujjain, they were important cities. Now Taxila, it was known as the gateway to the northwest, including Central Asia. Fine, it was the name. It was named as the gateway to the northwest. If anybody has to go towards northwest, the one has to cross Taxila. Fine. So Ujjain lay on the route from north to south, and Ujjain was a place from where you have to, go from north to south. You have to go through Ujjain. Merchants, officials, and craft persons probably lived in these cities. So, what type of people were living? Obviously, the merchants were living, the officials were living, the craft persons were living in these sort of cities, children. Then, on the other hand, there were villages of farmers and herders, and even they had villages where the farmers and herders were living. Farmers, you all know, herders, the one who herd the cattle. Fine. In some areas, as a central India, which is the central India, the Madhya Pradesh area, center of India, there were forests where people gathered forest produce and hunted animals for food. So in the center part there was so many forests. So here the people, they were hunter gatherers. Fine. People in different parts of the empire spoke different languages. Now children, see, the whole empire is spread throughout India. So obviously they will be speaking different languages. Fine. They probably ate different. Now they had different culture. Now see, they used to eat different food, they wore different kinds of clothes. So this was there. Fine. How empires are different from kingdom? Now again the question comes, we said that big kingdoms are known as empires. So how they are different? See, the emperors, they need more resources as compared to the kings, because see, the empire is bigger than a kingdom. So obviously more resources, more wealth, more soldiers, more people, more officials are required to uh, to run the empire. Fine. And this empire need to be protected by very big armies. Obviously they need big armies as well, and so they also need a larger number of officials who collect taxes. So they need officials also who are going to collect taxes for the empire. Now ruling the empire, now how it was ruled. As the empire was so large, different parts were ruled differently. So the empire was very big. One emperor cannot go everywhere. He needs some people who are going to work on his behalf. The area around Patliputra was under the direct control of the emperor. So Patliputra, capital, so it was under the direct control of the emperor. This meant that officials were appointed to collect taxes for farmers, herders, craftspersons, and traders. So from whom the taxes were collected? Farmers, herders, craftspersons, and traders. And who were collecting these taxes? The officials of the emperor. Fine. Now these people, they were living in the villages as well as towns in the area. Now officials, they used to punish the people, those who were disobeying the ruler's order. So it was their work. Fine. Many of these officials, they were given salaries also. Obviously if somebody is working for us, we had to pay salary. Fine. Now messengers, they used to come and go. They used to move from one place to another, giving messages of the ruler to someone else. And spies kept a watch on the officials. Spies means, you can say, a sort of detectives, those who are going to keep an eye on the officials, that whether the officials are doing their work properly or not. Fine. And of course the emperor supervised them all with the help of members of the royal family and senior ministers. Now obviously the emperor had a talk with them, he used to supervise them, and he got the help of the royal family members, as well as he had some senior ministers, those who helped the emperor in discussing something, in taking some decision. This way, the senior ministers were also there. There were other areas or provinces as well. Fine. Each of these was ruled from a provincial capitals such as Taxila or Ujjain. So other areas were also there, and they were ruled from their provincial capital. They were ruled from the capital, such as the areas are Taxila and Ujjain. Although there were some amount of control from Pataliputra as well, so the royal princes, they were sent as governors. Mostly the princes were sent as the governors. Local customs and rules were probably followed. So whatever custom, whatever rule was there, the people used to follow that. Beside, there was a vast area between two centers. Now there was a very big area between the different centers. Here the Mauryans, now the Mauryans, what they used to do, they used to control the roads and the rivers, which were very important for the transport purpose. So they control these places so that no one else should be, capturing them. Fine. And to collect whatever resources were available as tax and tribute. So obviously, in order to collect the taxes and the tributes, they need the, these, means of transport. Fine. Now, for example, Arthashastra tell us that the northwest was important for blankets. So different places were famous for different things. So northwest part was famous for blankets. South India was famous for its gold and precious stones. And it is possible that these resources were collected as tributes. So taxes and tributes, there is a difference. Fine, what is a tribute? Fine, like it is just like taxes. They are not collect. They are just different from taxes. Taxes are collected on a regular basis, but these tributes were not, collected on regular basis. Fine. Tribute was collected as and when it was possible for the people who gave a variety of things. So whenever people they had these things, they used to give as a tribute to the king or the emperor. Fine. Willingly they used to give this tribute as a gift, you can say. Fine. So it was not forcefully taken on a regular basis. There were also the forested regions. Obviously the forested regions were there. People living in these areas were more or less independent. They were independent in their own way, but may have been expected to provide. But they were expected to give elephants, timber, honey, wax to the Mauryan officials. Means they were living in the forest, but they were also giving something in a tribute to the Mauryan officials, the emperor and the capital city. Now Megasthenes, he was an ambassador who was sent in the court of Chandragupta by a Greek ruler of West Asia, and the name of that ruler was Seleucus Nicator. Now he writes about the description how the emperor used to appear in the public. It was a very grand occasion. A royal procession was taken as fine. So golden palanquin was there in which the emperor used to sit. The elephants were decorated with golden and silver. So this way they have shown that the emperor, whenever the emperor used to come out, has to go somewhere out. So the scene was very beautiful. Fine. So he has described this in that. So children, this is the end of today's topic. Thank you and have a nice day.